I take full gas, it's 1,500 pounds.
Really? That's it.
That's it.
I had a horse that weighed more than that.
So did I.
Man!
Yeah, they're just really, they're an incredible little creature.
That's so cool.
Yeah. The new ones though, this is 2015. The newer ones are all electric.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we didn't want to go electric.
Yeah, there's not enough around here, and our infrastructure is not set up for it. You know, if it was, it would be perfect. You know.
Yeah. And your maintenance on this thing is really incredible. It's about every 20,000 miles you have something to do.
That's not bad at all.
It's all synthetic oil. You know, everything you do on it is just once every now and then.
Once every now. That's so cool. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why my wife wanted a VW, but it's not like the old ones, and the new ones are not.
Well, the new ones are dealership only work on. You can't. You can't work on those yourself anymore.
And for $5,000, we paid $5,000.
Yes.
No way. Wow.
Yeah. Boing, oing, 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 oing.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Almost don't have to put it on insurance on it because you can buy another one.
Right. Exactly. Like the insurances would love you.
Well, because we don't drive more than 50 miles a week. Actually, about 50 miles a month on it.
Yeah.
And so the insurance is nothing.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's so cool. Like.
But we can make a trip down to like Little Rock and back. You can do 85 miles an hour in that thing, no problem.
I can see, because I've done that trip to Little Rock, and you're going, go up on the curb, go up on the sidewalk. You probably fit on it.
Well, yeah, and you can put two of them in a normal parking space.
Oh, so that you're one of those ones that I'd be driving up to the parking space, going, oh, parking, oh.
I'll take this one.
Right.
Right in the front window.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do we have any amendments to make to the agenda tonight? Before we get started?
Can I do something? On that number 2, discuss and vote on proposed budgets with the budget committee. It's already been voted on. A motion that we say discuss to amend budget.
Okay.
So you've already discussed the budget, you're just going to amend things to it?
Correct.
Oh.
And vote on it. We're going to vote on it at the same time. Ms. Elder, you want to make a motion? You want to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion that we discuss and
Okay. Second?
I'm not going to second, discuss and amend. Are we discussing amending and voting on the proposed budget?
Yes, because we...
Okay, but that wasn't the amendment, that wasn't the motion, so we'll need to say that again. I'm sorry. You need to get all three of them in there.
Okay, making a motion to discuss and amend the budget with the budget committee.
And
And vote on the, okay.
I seconded.
All in favor? Okay, now we're going to go ahead and start our meeting. Meeting's called to order at 6:04. Gary, would you do the opening prayer for us, please?
Sure. Dear Lord, we thank you for what we have. We thank you for this day. Thank you for the beauty that surrounds us and the place that we live. We appreciate the people that are here tonight. We all have one thing in mind, it's the betterment of this community. Pray that you help us go about the business in an orderly manner. We always give you grace in Jesus' name.
Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Johnson. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Aye.
Second.
All in favor? our first item on the agenda is to vote to set Della in because we didn't vote last time, but we need to vote her in to be appointed. So that might mean that you'll have to go down to the courthouse and verify the appointment, okay?
So I make a motion that we appoint Della in as commissioner.
Can you make that motion, Lana?
I make a motion.
Do I have a second? I'll second. All in favor? You sustain, Ellen?
I abstain because it's the same situation that it was when I left the last meeting. I don't feel it's fair to bring a commissioner into the mess that we currently are sitting in. I have nothing, absolutely nothing against Stella. I think she is an asset to our community. I think she is an asset to the board. But I think the timing on this is very poor, so at this point, I'm going to continue to abstain my vote on putting a new commissioner on our board.
That is fine. Okay, now we're going to discuss with the budget committee to amend the budget that we have, which was from the previous year.
Who's the budget committee? I wasn't aware that we had one.
Well, John and Deb and Robin has stepped up to me as well. So we've got the form from the budget committee. John has helped them to devise this. I had myself a few adjustments so that we could try to get it balanced as best we could. You want, the budget committee, would you like to go over your draft of this? Would you like to go over your draft of what we're going to be, what we're going to spend?
Sure.
Now just remember we've taken out the fire department, and so all that is no longer there.
All of this as well.
I can't see that. Yes,
So all of this fire expense C is out.
right, because I'm making a new thing to justify the department, so it's like that, okay? Okay.
What granularity would you like to go through? Just at that high level?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah, so the, I guess we're on, I'll have a page number here.
If you need a copy, I think there might be one copy left over there. Yes, sorry.
The total income that we're anticipating for the year is approximately $172,900. It's in the middle of the first page spreadsheet.
I'm sorry, John, I've got, for the 23 budget draft, I've got 132.
Oh, I was going over, oh, you want to go over each line item?
I've got
That's fine.
179. I've got 172.9.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, no.
Yeah, that was the total.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so 132,000 is the estimated assessments. This is based on the 8% rate. Then if we look at all the line items, these are just estimates for the budget based on last year, and then projecting the best we could with the. So I don't know if we'll go over each line item. You guys want to, we can.
We'll just go over the totals.
Okay. Anybody has any questions, you can look through that. But there's the bulk of the assessments, 132,000 estimate is for assessments. Another high level would be delinquent assessments. Again, projection of about 22,000. Last year we had 23,30.39. And then the rest of it is clubhouse rental, donations, guest memberships, so they're just, you know, a few $100 or a few thousand expectation. So. And any question on income?
John, I did take that $500 out of there for the fireworks.
Oh, the income, okay.
So that'll bring that total down to 172, 4. Oh, Della, you can come up here now. Well, you've been sworn in. I'm sorry, and I didn't mean to. Let me start with you. Mind helping me?
We had a motion to take a vote, we had a second to take a vote, we took a vote, but there was not a conclusion of a vote noted in our record.
So we have two yes and one abstain.
So the motion carries.
Here, yes, I'm sorry. You'll have to forgive me, yes, I'm a little done. Completely here. Okay, John.
All right, continuing the expense section. Again, these are based on last year's actual numbers and projection of what we have so far.
And can I say, this is the one area that we went through minute detail to cut everything we could. And when you look at payroll, so everyone's aware that's cutting the office down to 20 hours a week total.
And is that including any maintenance, any other personnel, or is that literally just 20 hours?
That's just office and maintenance is on its own separate thing as far as payroll goes. But it'll be its own line item. Once we get to the maintenance area and they have someone.
So is it on here anywhere, Deb, or?
Well, that's this is how we how we had to do this to get it to balance, and it took a while. Was first we went through to see what anything we could possibly decrease, and then we kind of worked backwards. So we got to a point that we decreased everything we could as far as office expenditures, and then all that left was really hard costs. So what we did was get it to the point where it was balanced, and the remaining funds is what was designated to maintenance, and maintenance will be its own payroll category along with all the material costs.
So again, I'm going to ask the same question. Is that somewhere on here? Is there the maintenance section? I'm not.
It was, well, it's not,
I wasn't able to.
I don't know what you've got. I'm going by this spreadsheet John did.
Right, and I couldn't read that because it's so dark, the copy that I was able to get via email, I couldn't read what any of the columns were. So,
Is it on yours?
if you're saying it's a separate section, are you, like, letter G is lakes, dams, and spillways. I'm not seeing a maintenance on here
Oh, you know
anywhere.
what?
And
That's
so-
what it is, it was all combined.
Well, on this one, you have this one?
Let me see what you got.
Do you have John's spreadsheet?
Yeah, that's.
This is the one that I just got. Sorry about that.
So go to, I guess, oh, it's the line.
There's roads and streets, beach, clubhouse.
This is the one.
And then
Why
roads
is
and-
yours all?
Well, I don't know if this is what I figured.
I think this is the last
That'll
one.
make more sense.
Well, then you won't be able to talk. It's fine.
Well, he can
I
talk,
just-
that's fine, I just wanted to explain
Okay.
that we had cut back and that everybody's aware that the office hours are cut in half and starting in June.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not seeing
We must
maintenance
do
on
this.
here. I was like, that's why I was like,
You don't have numbers on yours.
Well, we're okay, we'll go through it, that's okay.
Sorry, I
That's
won't
okay.
interrupt you again, I just wanted to bring that up as part of the hours that are cut.
All right, we want to go back to the expense section from page 1. I mean, basically, what Deb said, we're looking at labor, utilities, some of the hard costs. Obviously, utilities have to be paid for the clubhouse, for the office. There's some hard expenses that we can't reduce unless we make other changes. Water monitoring, some basic things. But everything else we looked at, we tried to cut down so we can put it all towards, as much towards roads and maintenance of the parks.
Here was the other problem. You had to, you got $15,000 for attorney fees. That really needs to be raised up to $25,000 at this point. Because we have ongoing litigation. And we have to pay the lawyers' fees. We've already spent approximately $9,000, because the last one isn't on my sheet here. We spent approximately $9,000 already at the beginning of April. And we've still not used it. So,
not much.
Are these legal?
oh, I'm sorry,
And these are legal fees for the,
the lawsuit
The
and
lawsuit.
and the continuing,
Filings.
Filings and responses that he has to make to filings.
okay.
It is not any part of that
so.
that has been stated in the settlement. It is literally just fees, attorney's fees that we have paid to Mr. Lyons to handle, to represent us in the lawsuit and to continue to keep up with responding to Mrs. Hall's repeated filings in court. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah. So, we're gonna have to, raise that expense by another $10,000.
And it doesn't look like we've got a place to pick it from.
My road getting fixed.
Okay, I have,
You said 9,000.
well, that's because we haven't paid the last bill that got in.
Okay, so we paid 6 already, and we've got $1,500 or $1,600 outstanding.
Maybe I was on the wrong one.
So here's your legal fees right here.
Oh, yes, so we got another,
So this bill right here has not been paid, is what you're saying, the $1,600, $1,590. Okay, well,
that
then,
has been paid. That's year to date.
right, so far you said 9, but this says 6.
Well, we got another 3,000. Or we got another one. And I added up with what, 9,000.
And And he's got 3 more he's got to respond to.
So, yeah, so we haven't paid that bill yet.
Okay, so we're adjusting, you said we need to adjust legal fees number 413 up to 25,000?
Yeah.
Are
Just to be safe.
there any
And what-
other adjustments prior to that
Well-
line item?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Not on that one that I went over with you. I adjusted that $500 for mileage down to $300.
What is pay mileage?
When I have to run to the courthouse, I use my gas and do all that stuff. We pay my mileage, but the government will go by the government thing. And I haven't done that in a while, so
So we have $1,000 mileage expense right now?
not anymore.
Okay, so
That's what I'm saying, we're not.
Well, I'm sorry, you said 500, I didn't see a 500 figure.
It's on jobs, or was it? No.
Do you want this one so you can understand this better?
Just give me a minute, I'm having a trouble.
So what is the,
Hang on. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Mileage on John says 1,000. I dropped it down to 500.
so line item 421, you say needs to be adjusted to 500.
So that saves us $500. Okay.
So that offsets the volunteer fire department fireworks.
Yeah. No, no, because that's for the bill.
So where we at? Anything?
We're up at miscellaneous repairs.
So we're at 422, okay.
And John, you have 500, correct?
Yeah.
And that's what I have. The next item is the real estate taxes. That doesn't change, that's the same. And then, the next line item you have is
Tax collector fees, 426 is where we're at.
and that's when we stay at 10,000. Office equipment,
Can I say one thing about the tax collector fees, because I think people have been greatly misinformed about that, that even though it shows a tax collector fee, the county is not retaining that money. That is not what the county clerk or the tax collector is, anyone is making that money off of this. They hold back a certain percent on every assessment that is paid in case there is some type of problem down the road that, I don't know, somebody pays it by credit card and they dispute it, or whatever it might be. But they always hold that back annually, and then the following year, except for a very minuscule administration fee that's probably less than $1,000 a year, far, far less, it's all sent to the SID after January of the next year. So the county is not getting rich collecting SID fees.
So my question to you is, if that, because that's always confused me.
It has 2
So,
ways here.
426, the tax collector fees is offset and matched by 328, the refund from the county. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much,
Yes.
year to year.
Okay, thank you.
And I still-
That makes so
I'm not-
much more sense to me than
Yeah.
anything I've ever looked at, any one of these budgets, and I've been, I don't understand what we're paying.
Yeah, I didn't understand that, and I saw a lot of postings that the county's keeping tens of thousands of dollars, and that's a very false fact.
All All right, so those two kind of are
They kind of
Yeah.
round each other out.
okay, wash.
And literally, I think the only time I ever looked, I think at one point, maybe it's $200 they keep for doing all this work.
So now we go down to office equipment.
We're still giving $500 to fire. Sorry, office equipment, you're right, sorry.
Office equipment,
That's reduced to 205.
yes,
We spent 125 last year.
yes. Now, the marketing and goodwill is what we normally spend on fireworks. So, I think that's part of the community enjoys the fireworks, so I say we leave that here for you. Because otherwise there won't be a fireworks show. The next one is service agreements, that's $2,500.
Service agreements are termites.
Termites, the QuickBooks application, Norton, and like the agreements with environment information. It's Norton, QuickBooks, termites,
Beach camera.
beach camera. And there was one other thing I can't remember off the top of my head. So that's what those are. And we've already, as you can see on P&L, we've already spent $1,500 because they all, a lot of them are in the beginning. Okay, the next one is telephones.
That's internet.
No, internet and telephones, it's all combined in one.
Okay, so we jumped from service agreement 433
Oh,
to,
insurance, I'm sorry,
so insurance claim payments is gonna be zero because we don't
Right,
have that, I
because we
get
don't
that.
have
But
that.
Ozark Acres, SID, building maintenance is what, so we have no money for any building maintenance, any of our buildings, or is that?
That's just for the office here.
Okay.
That's just the office, that's, okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So that brings us down to the bottom, but I don't know, how much did I take off? Do you know offhand, John, or did you try to know?
Okay, so hold on, please. Telephones is also internet. $1,700 a year for
I'm gonna-
internet.
That's about,
In phones.
yeah, internet and phones.
Oh, with that one line.
And
We
tax,
do them through the same
yes,
company?
yes, and all combined. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. No?
No, I don't know.
Okay, we'll move on.
They should 500 off.
But you added 10,000.
Yeah. You added 10, took off 5.
Going in the wrong direction.
Well, we're getting there, I think. I'm trying to compare the two.
You cut $64,410 if we're going by what the proposed budget for the 2022 budget with the column in the middle.
Last year's.
I'm just going off of
Oh,
the difference between what's in the middle column the proposed budget and then the drafted budget.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
had it and took off,
Okay.
And if you give me a second, I can figure out with the
Okay, so
actual
then
budget.
You said letter C, the fire expense, all of that is no,
It's not in there.
not in there.
It should not be in there.
Okay. 2,000.
yeah. And everyone should know why.
Actually,
Because they already have enough money to run for the year on a separate budget.
Exactly.
Well, if
So it's
they're,
not
if
the
they're a
fire
separate,
department's being cut, it's that they
no,
have
if they're a
that
separate
money.
entity, they should
Yeah.
always have been
Well, see,
separated and.
what used to happen is they're acting free, and they didn't have a large amount in their petty cash fund, which they now have because people are donating.
Right, so
Yeah,
they are
so-
responsible for their expenses and they are responsible for their own money, correct? That's
Correct.
nothing to do with you, that's correct? Is that
Well, it
correct?
has to do with the city, yes. The city controls that money.
They'll just have their
So
separate
they'll just
budget.
have a separate budget that they'll have to keep. Because the.
So who makes up their budget? The SID makes up their budget and oversees it, or do they make up their own budget and
We make up
oversee
that
it?
budget basically. They will-
I would think Lana and Dylan
Yeah.
should start
Yeah,
making
Lana.
up their own budget.
Yep, I agree.
And that was highly suggested by the county when I did the Act 833 last year, is they need to be more
Well, they-
hands-on in their control.
I was, and I know this is not budget related, but I did have questions as to why we were paying the secretaries in the office to do all the 833 filing when I was led, or I believed, that all the 833 is all fire department. We're not allowed to touch that money, it's got a certain purpose for it, all of that kind of thing, and it's fire department money. So
Correct.
why would the SID secretaries be handling
Because we pay the bills in the office.
833 money?
Because we pay all the bills in the office. We can't give.
Do we
to
need,
their checkbooks.
why can't we?
Because we can't. Because it is Ozark Acres Fire Department.
Okay, and we are the Ozark Acres SID commission.
Yeah, and you are ultimately responsible for how the money is dispersed.
Yeah.
And there are other places you're already having
It's
problems
got
with
formulas
how the
there.
money got
And there was a
dispersed.
lawsuit years ago where the fire department spending money and spending, and then they teetered out to the city.
Okay, so it's kind of like one of those catch-22s that they're not really part of us, but they are part of us, and we don't really oversee them, but we kind of do oversee them.
We're assessed for the fire department.
That's why we
Part of our
have
assessments.
Okay,
All money
that cleared
goes,
that up.
all money goes through the SID office.
I mean, yeah.
They cannot
But-
spend money unless it goes to the office,
But they have their own checking account, they have their,
but they don't write the
They don't
checks.
write the checks, we write the checks.
I'm sorry, this just seems really kind of weird and kind of convoluted and not very easy to understand, so.
Well,
I'll
this,
talk to the county, I'll talk to them about bringing back.
yeah, this has been going on from the start. I mean,
Yeah.
it's nothing that started new. This is where it's always been.
It's almost like they don't have a financial officer. So the financial officer
Yes.
is in the SID office, but their funds are raised otherwise and the officer.
That's
And
what
I think there's been problems tracking funds that were, at least I was, to understand, like, when they had availability of petty cash, there had been problems with.
Okay, I guess I just have a different, I've had different experiences with volunteer fire departments in that they were their own entity. And they are,
We're assessed for that fire department, so it's under the SID. So I mean, the commissioners are ultimately the controlling factor with it.
I hear what you're saying, I just don't,
See,
I don't know how that works going forward how does that work going forward?
Here's the thing, we pay the taxes on the building, the SID does,
Thank you.
okay?
Mhm.
We pay the, insurance and their vehicles.
Okay, so
I think part of this
So-
looks confusing to you because part of the reason that it looks like this and it was pulled out from this budget
Mhm.
was because we had to reduce everything so much. So when we looked at the fire department funds, they still have, I believe, some funds left from last year's 833, and then they have money in their general account or whatever you want, I don't even know what it's called, but they have enough money there to function for the year.
okay.
So rather than us, because this took a while just to get to this point, to get a balanced budget, was that they're gonna have their own separate budget. So that's something that ultimately you all should still, after Lana or whoever or whatever commissioners work on it with Dylan, it should be presented to the board so everyone knows.
And-
But for the sake of getting this under control, because if you were to go by the budget that was passed, by October, there'd be no money for anything. So that's why when we're saying separate budget for the fire department and for maintenance, it's not really a separate budget, it's that there's X amount of money with the fire department right now that they have to function on for the year. And there's going to be X amount of money for maintenance that can be spent for materials and employees. So all of these categories at a point in time have to be filled in, but everybody needs to be aware of how drastically this budget has had to be cut, and the commissioners needed to get it in line with what income stream we're gonna have, because otherwise there's gonna be a huge problem. And I think more so than probably any time in the past, that the commissioners every month have to really, really look at this. Because there's no wiggle room in this. And if somebody starts going over on their budget, ultimately, bottom line, anything that goes over on any line item on this budget comes out of maintenance. Because that's the only place to take money from anymore.
Can I have a motion to extend the meeting?
Make a motion, we extend the meeting.
Does that help or not really?
No,
All in favor of extending the meeting? Bella
I
seconded.
can help you explain it, yes.
And that's why this is a good meeting, because we can all figure out what we're doing here.
Okay, so we're on D.
Okay, D, security.
Yeah, we're down here. If C's out, then we're down to D.
Okay. So, security, I don't think we need anything for security.
So wipe that $100 out of there.
Wipe that $100 out.
Okay.
Okay, then we get down to the clubhouse. Equipment maintenance is 500, and I think that's a understand. And $200 for supplies is a good amount for now, because we've got a bit of stuff back there. Building maintenance, I don't see us really needing any building maintenance, and I think that with what we have, there is wood and stuff in the shop, or by the shop.
We're trying to figure out what's at the shop.
But I think.
There are a few things for like picnic tables and stuff.
So I think we have stuff that we could probably need.
The issues that this had, it has to be a licensed electrician to come in and see and quote it. It can't just be maintenance to do it because
Oh, it
it's
wouldn't
the,
be maintenance.
I know, I'm just saying. I
Yeah.
had Clint look at it just as the carpenter point. He said, do your due diligence. You might get lucky and have a licensed electrician that's a good carpenter too. And if not, then you'll need one of those.
Okay.
And the dehumidifier, there is a formula of how big of a dehumidifier you need for a building like this, and it takes into account how many windows. From what I've looked, you're probably looking at about a $600 to $700 unit that you'd need at a minimum.
Okay, well, I'll check into that, so we'll,
But I can message you the formula that they use
okay.
to adequately, that's to do its job adequately and not overwork the unit or under help the building.
Did we have the old one in the shop? Did you see the old one in the shop?
I didn't see it, but anyways, I have a picture of it there.
That was in, yeah. Okay, so, well, let me say this then. If we have a little money in the contract later, that would cover,
Repair of the
Repair of
electrical
the-
panel that's pulling off the wall of the
Right.
clubhouse.
so we can adjust that with that. So I'm not gonna worry about that right now.
That would be something that you could get the bids and then see of what you could work with.
Okay. Now, the next item is what?
Beach, marine, and parks.
Okay. Beach, marina, and parks. Supplies. Maintenance, we've got 500.
And service on here anywhere?
Megan's through through the office. The office brings that.
Right?
And then it comes out of the office, part of it, and
That's what I'm asking, in the,
I'm looking here. That would, that's obviously probably comes out of the service agreements. You know, if that's really not that much. So I mean, there's places we can see things. It doesn't come out of the lease and dams. So we've got $500. We bang about maintenance. Now, we did have a lot because we used to have hired somebody years ago to come out and do the weed whacking and such on it.
now I just wave my magic wand.
That's right. No, all the insurance, those kinds of something to, okay. Beach fund, I think we're gonna need to raise money for that.
We're gonna need to raise money for way more important things than fish right now.
Well, exactly, that's why I'm going to put that to zero. Spring lake maintenance,
I don't think that's supposed to read $2,000.
I brought that up, because I thought you had brought up about the sinkhole, and then about, that it's losing so much water, and I thought that from the way you sounded,
We've
Something had to be
it has-
done.
It has stabilized itself at this point in time,
oh, okay.
but I don't have any, we don't know how that happened. It's just the way that things fill in the topography that our lake is based on.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll shift whenever it feels like shifting, when we get super heavy rains. Right now, our lake, the small lake is full. It's blocked up and not leaking anywhere. I don't know what that's going to look like in 3 months.
Well, that's why and I was the one that brought up putting it in there, because I thought you might end up with some problems you had to deal with there.
Well, there's not to say that there aren't going to be problems. We have some repairs that need to be made to both of our spillways right now from the preliminary walkthrough with the engineer who came out. Obviously, when we get a lot of runoff, we get erosion, we get what's called scouring, where the water dumps off of the spillway. And there will be some, we need to rework the concrete edges of our spillway. So I'm not saying that we're not going to be able to use that $2,000. I just don't know that it would go to Spring Lake as much as it would be going right now.
That's why it's lace and dams.
Right. So I'm not saying that we're not going to need that. We definitely are, and it may be higher than that. I wasn't able to, we didn't have, okay, I didn't give a report last month. I'll give you a very quick rundown on what's going to have to be going forward. In order for us to renew our dam permit, we have to be able to have a current accepted emergency action plan. The state has notified us for the last 5 years that we are behind, that they are not acceptable. They have accepted them, but we're going to run out of that option. Okay? They've told us 5 times, you need to update this properly. Updating it properly requires new engineering drawings and reports, because we changed our spillway in 2017, 2018, and then we submitted the old 1997 engineering reports with our new spillway and said, yeah, we changed the spillway, but the water still flows like it did back in 1997. That's not acceptable to the state. I totally understand that. In order to do that, we need to have an engineer come out and give us updated reports on how our spillway actually does work right now. I had a gentleman come out. He said he would be willing to work up those reports and those drawings, but what he wanted to do to save us money was he will be contacting Arkansas Natural Resource Commission and asking them exactly what we need, bare minimum reports and information that we need to give them that they will accept to give us our permits, okay? And then he will give us a proposal for how much those reports would cost us to have done. I will not have that information for probably another 3 to 4 weeks. Arkansas doesn't move really fast, and he doesn't want to give us information that we don't need. He doesn't want to charge us for extra stuff. He wants to be able to just say, the state says this is exactly what we have to turn in, and so this is how much it would cost you for me to work up those things for you. So that's where we sit.
So 2017, they haven't done anything, and they changed it.
I honestly don't know.
There was an engineering firm out of Paragould that was used. There is no contract with them, and there were no reports that they gave after the spillway was completed, according to the paperwork that I have.
Okay, let's get back on track.
2 things real quick. On 520, item number 528 and 533, I'm going to strip both of those $1,000 out. Those are fire
Yes.
expenses.
Yes.
So those should have been taken out because of the fire incomes
Right.
and the expenses are separated. So I'll remove both of those from the spreadsheet budget.
Okay.
And one other thing, the fire chief asked if there was a way that the SID could be, especially with the hours being reduced, somebody could be in charge of the checkbook for the fire department. If we could look at that as an option to kind of reduce the amount of hours needed for fire department expenses.
I'm sorry, repeat that.
The fire chief, I'm talking to Fire Chief Dylan, and he asked if we could have somebody in charge of the fire checkbook going forward at some point.
We're in charge of the fire.
If we could have another person so that they don't have to involve us in.
No.
What would be the reason for that in case, in case there's expenses that come up that they need, you know,
They
the fire
can,
says no open?
they can use petty cash.
Okay.
So I don't see that anything expensive would never come up that we didn't handle it. So we'll just handle it like we have in the past. The office was only working on the 3 days a week anyway, and it's going to be the same 3 days. It's just there's only going to be one person. So it's the same thing. Okay. And what is our next line here?
Roads and streets, but I don't have
Right,
zero
well, that's-
all the way down. Letter H.
Okay, so the idea behind roads and streets being zeroed out is a lot of this is repairs that come up periodically, and we're trying to strip out everything for maintenance. So anything that's surplus, which unfortunately isn't very much, would go towards maintenance in general, including roads and streets. Everything left in the budget, we're going to put towards maintenance person and supplies.
Well, that was the $60,000. That's where.
At the very bottom.
I put $60,000 because we were left with $61,400. According to my calculations.
So as of now, it's 62.9 based on the fire expenses being taken out.
Oh, okay.
62,900 total to go towards road and maintenance.
So they would still be responsible for repairing the vehicles and hiring maintenance. And if they have to hire somebody, if they have to re-gravel or asphalt, not asphalt.
Okay, so once all of those are zeroed out, and the clubhouse, like the rest of mine on my paper that I've been given are all zeroed out. So now we come to expenses for a total of originally $102,000. That's gone up by $9,000 because of trade. Am I correct? So under 66,000 payroll expenses, this line right here, this should now be 111. Is that correct? 111,000.
For the total B operational office, what are we looking at? 2023 draft.
No, maintenance has to pay for their own.
Okay, we got all these zeros and all this stuff for no, I have no maintenance on here at all. So what I now have, your total expenditures were $102,000. But if we increased our attorney fees by $10,000, and then we decreased two things by $500 each, that's a $9,000 difference. And so our total expenditures should be $111,000 on that line. Is that, am I
I'm
next?
seeing
Oh, and
1095.
1095.
1095 is what I'm getting based on.
Okay, because okay, good. At least I've got somebody who's on the same page as me. 109.5. Woo! Okay, very good. So then what does that give me on the next line, John?
62,900.
$62,900 excess,
Correct.
which is now all being earmarked for maintenance. Is this what am I following this correctly?
I thought that we were going to do 60,000 for maintenance.
Well, that's the number of
I
excess.
mean, that way that'll give us a little win.
Right,
You know, just a little bit of a wiggle.
Yeah.
Right, but I don't have any place to put the wiggle. I've got like a a line item that I need to give me myself an actual
62.9.
thing.
Okay.
And then if things change, that would either go up or down for,
Yeah, if you need
that's
that-
pretty much, if, say, not,
Right,
would, that, it would go up another 10,000 for, like, for attorney's fees, it would come from that 62.9.
right.
Okay.
We have $62,900.
Or if you need to hire an engineer, and that's $5,000, that's coming out of roads.
Okay.
Everything, any
So
additional
62,000.
expenses have to be
So we have $62,900 to
Higher maintenance.
earmark,
To earmark for something
earmark for
take
maintenance.
care of
of, yeah,
our entire community.
okay.
Yes. with-
We better get some fundraisers
Then,
going.
And that's where you start triaging what needs to be done.
So, that is where we are at.
How much is a load of gravel usually?
They might be. We gotta figure out how much it is for a maintenance guy. There is no maintenance, so
Right.
it's gotta be hired out of this.
Right, so if you're gonna hire a maintenance guy, he better, like, I don't know. And how much do you think?
We have volunteers and
Well, it's, I mean, realistically, you're only gonna be able to hire somebody
Part-time.
part-time because
Right.
they're, even if you had a full-time person, you don't have the money to buy material to keep them busy.
Right.
yes, John.
We looked at just a maintenance person to mow, just to take care of parks and the basics.
Oh, that's full-time, that's a full-time every week job in the summertime.
And so we have part-time maintenance and
I know.
full-time volunteers.
Well, I know once my husband retires, he'll go out and mow some lawns. He can't leave that. He's old.
Do we have the equipment though for volunteers to use? I mean, is there a mower that somebody can go and
I have
climb
to-
upon and do
What,
that?
what I will have to do is I will have to contact municipal league and see if we can have a written statement for volunteers signed to release us of responsibilities if they get.
I know what you're going for. They do it for subcontractors. It's,
So,
so you are, that they come to you, they say, I'm volunteering.
right.
And
I-
they have to
if
provide
they-
a copy of their, like, medical
Medical insurance
Yeah,
or
yeah.
sign a waiver saying, if I get hurt, it's my own fault.
My own problem. But then that you can then by that way provide the equipment to be used.
Yes.
So they can climb aboard a riding lawnmower and mow the
Yes.
park.
And that needs to be done right away, because otherwise we won't have it volunteers.
And I think too, they can check because, like the volunteer fire department, you have to list them with the municipal league, so there's some kind of blanket coverage.
Okay.
So it's a possibility, maybe that's something that can be added as far as that type of volunteers too.
Yeah.
Right, so we're broke. And we go to-
Well, that hasn't changed since any year, I mean, it's.
Right.
it's
Well, we're more
worse.
broke.
It's
Everything more
worse.
broke than usual.
Yeah, more broke.
Right. We're broke.
If the office is cut down to 20 hours a week, when will we be there to work?
The same
92.
time, yeah.
So just be minus one person.
Right, and we wouldn't have the we won't have the Saturday because,
We can open.
And you'll have to reduce what you do.
yeah, during the summer.
Oh, gotcha.
I saw 12 of them too.
So we need to reduce what we do, we just have to maybe do it different ways.
So who we contact after this 500? Because that has to be done immediately.
Let's,
I'll contact municipal league and I will check them out.
Okay, because we need to put that down our list to have all the groups to do anything.
And looking at the size of this group here, volunteers don't just magically appear.
No.
And so there's got to be a way to get the word out that we would like to know if there are people to come down and we will provide you the equipment and the fuel you need to mow the park near you if you're willing to do that. Talk to
Della
us.
is now working on that.
You are working on that, okay? thank you, this is an important thing for
Yes,
you to know.
she is working on it,
Yep.
because we've
Kind of
had a
in
couple
with my
people,
data spots, I didn't talk.
we have spoken to people on Facebook, and they have volunteered, and they want to volunteer, but, you know, of course, they have full-time jobs, but they'll do it on the weekends.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I personally, I'm talking to people, that is that, so I don't.
So- Do I have a motion to accept this as brought forward? Do I have a second?
I second it.
Now, the last order of business is to
Don't we have to
vote.
vote on this? Isn't that part of the process then?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Oh, man.
Okay.
If I call out Lana on making sure all three parts are in the motion, then I'm gonna call you out to say, oh, you have to finish all
On
three
that,
parts.
like I said, on that.
So we got the motion, we got the vote, yeah, now let's,
Okay, all in favor?
where are you?
Unanimous? Okay. Now we need to vote for commissioners to be able to attend meetings remotely in Ottawa.
Do you have the capability through that screen over there for them? to do
There's no internet here.
There's no internet here.
And the service is not good here.
By phones
Now, is that just a temporary
or a
thing?
computer.
Or because of, medical conditions and things like that, just an extreme emergency, not something that's just going to be.
Correct.
I don't have anybody here, but a bunch of phones.
Well,
Yeah,
I
they
think
do that.
I'm gonna say that I think that opens us up to potential litigation. And I think we need to tread very carefully around this.
Don't you think there's a lot of places that do this? I mean.
It may, possibly, and if we revise our bylaws to say that we can do that going forward, but I think until we've done that, we run the risk of litigation from previous commissioners that were not granted that ability and who have voiced their opinions and their concerns very loudly and are not adverse to filing a bunch of stuff in a courtroom.
Show up for one meeting and put it on the agenda.
Right. So, I just think that it's kind of a bad time to be going that route right now.
That sounds.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and I'm sorry that
Yeah, we
you're,
have to meet her.
that you're, right, I'm sorry that we are in need of giving physical, a different option, but I think if we make that an absolute, that we are just asking for somebody to be,
Maybe you can just find out from the municipal league and get their attorney's opinions, because there are many places, even just around here, where city councils, I've seen several city
Well,
council
I
meetings
think-
where that's an option.
and I know that we've done it when Jean wasn't here and we needed to, we needed her to be a part of the meeting, and I'm not saying that if it becomes an emergency situation, I just am saying, I don't know that we want to vote to make that a regularly accommodation at this point in time because of our current legal situation.
Okay.
And
Okay? Does
I
that
would
make sense?
also suggest of making sure it's well written of what form, because.
Audio versus visual and all of that.
Yeah,
Okay. So we'll put that on hold for now.
It's working for me.
Yeah. So we're gonna table that until further notice. Okay, do I have a second on the motion to adjourn the meeting at
7:05.
All in favor?
didn't raise your hand, Lana.
Okay. I didn't quite catch that on the phone.
Who seconded it?
No.
Noah, what is your last name? Cutler?
Now I'm.
Let's get the roads fixed, if that works.
Yeah, they're low. My, see, what I see though, some of these big issues is that